In this video, I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks you need to get the best out of Excel drop-down lists. I'll show you all the basic stuff and everything you need to know to create this triple dependent drop-down list and a searchable drop-down list. It's pretty cool stuff and it's easier than you think. So we have two data sets here. We have a list of countries in Europe, and then below a list of each of the countries, then we have the names of the football teams, or that's soccer if you're in the US. And then down on the table below, we have then a list of all those teams and the players associated with each of those teams. So just to go through the basics first, what we're going to do is we're going to just put in a data validation list just for the country. So if I go to data at the top of the ribbon, then go to data validation on the right, drop down list is a list. Now I can manually type in the list of each of the teams if I want, and that will automatically show up in the data list. But instead, what we want to do is we just want to select a range for that. So what we can do is we can just select the range up above here to select all of the countries and hit OK. And that's how we create a drop-down list. Now what we can also do to help users is we can put in an input message. So I can say please, and then hit OK, and effectively anytime the user goes and selects that cell, they get a little tooltip which tells them what to do. We can also put in an error message, and effectively if they try to put in an entry that's not there, they'll get an error message just like that. So now that we've got our drop-down list for our country, we want to put in a drop-down list for the football team that belongs to each country. So what we need to do first is we need to set up a table for each of the countries with the football team down below it. So I've already done that for the other countries in Europe. I'm just going to do it for England. So select the full range, including the title. Then we want to do Control and T. We want to make sure our table has headers, which is going to be England, and hit OK. Now just up to the top left here, we'll see that that table has been named table 1, and we want to rename that to England. Hit return. I'm just going to change the format of that table there. Then when we go into the cell where we want to put our drop down list, what we're going to do is just go to data, data validation, and change that to list. Now what I'm going to enter in is a function here called indirect, and all that does is it changes a text to a range. It's available in all versions of Excel, so this should work for even older versions of Excel. So equals indirect. We want to reference the drop down where we have the country, so that is cell A5. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the second $sign out because I want to drag that formula down. Close our parentheses and then hit OK. And that should then give us all of the countries under England. Now that should work when we change our country. So if I change that to Spain, that should change then to all of the teams in Spain. To get our third dependent drop-down list, the approach we take is pretty similar. So what we'll do is down below we have all of the teams with all of the players underneath. Now a bit of a drawback of this particular approach is that I'd have to create tables for all of these teams. So I'm going to do a little bit of a shortcut. I'm going to name them as named ranges, which means that they won't increase if we add extra team players. So that's a little bit of a drawback, but to get over that you could actually create tables for each of them. So to quickly name all of the ranges down below, I'm just going to select Shift and then Control, select that whole range, then go up to Formula, Create from Selection, and then on these tick boxes here, I just want to untick left column and hit OK. That then has effectively named all of my ranges down here on the left hand side if I select that. If I go into my player drop down, I just need to go to data and then data validation and then list. Just select the drop down list. Same again, what we're going to do is enter in equals indirect, open my parentheses, reference the football team that we had previously. Again, I'm going to take out that second $sign, close my parentheses and hit OK. Say yes to that. So in Spain, let's just choose Real Madrid, and then the Real Madrid players pop up there, and let's just change the team to Valencia. Does that change? Yes, it does. So triple dependent drop down lists, pretty easy actually. So we're going to try to do the dynamic drop down lists a slightly different way using the tools in Excel 365. So some of the dynamic array formulas, so the sort, unique and filter. Let's have a look. So I've got a table here with all my countries, teams and players, and they're just stacked on top of one another into one simple table. So I'm going to write some formula just to take this into a format that I need, that I can use for the drop down lists. So firstly, I'm going to just equals and then unique, and I'm going to select all of my countries within the table here, close my parentheses and hit return, and that just effectively spills my 4 countries out from one cell using the unique formula. What I'm going to do, wrap a sort around that, because I want my countries to be sorted alphabetically, so they'll be easier to find in the drop down list. Then what I'm going to do is, actually I want that to be on the side rather than to be down, so I'm going to actually just wrap a transpose formula around that and hit return. Then what I want to do is I want to create a formula that will pull all of the teams underneath each individual country. So I'm going to use the filter formula for that. Now, if you haven't used the filter formula before, I'm just going to link a description up in the top of the video now. So equals filter, and the array that I want to filter for is the teams. Select all of those, and I want to include where the country is equal to this cell up here, England, and hit return. And what that does, again, it just spills all of the teams underneath the country of England. And you can see they're in there several times because they're actually duplicated. So what I'm going to do firstly is I'm going to wrap a sort so that Arsenal is at the top and Man United is at the bottom where they should be. And then I'm going to wrap a unique formula just to get rid of all my duplicates in there and hit return. So you can see then I've got England, and then I've got my 4 teams within England, and they're alphabetically sorted. So what I want to do is I want to copy this formula underneath each of the countries and hit return. And that's the first stage. Now I want to duplicate that exercise, but I want to do it then for the teams and the players. So what I want to do is just create a unique formula, and I want to do that for all of the teams. Return. Then what I can do is I can just wrap a transpose around that and hit return, and then filter, and here we want all of the players, comma, from all of the teams, where the team is equal to the team at the top here, so the top of the header. Close my parentheses and hit return. So that gives me all of the players on Liverpool. And if I copy that and drag that over all the way to all my teams. Next, we're going to put in our data validation. So let's do that very quickly. If we go to data validation, for the first one, we just want our countries. So let's just select countries there and hit OK. Select Germany there. For the second, the football team, we're going to go again to data validation list, but this time we're going to enter in a formula, and the formula we're going to enter in is in XLOOKUP. So XLOOKUP is an excellent function, and I'm going to link a video that I did in a tutorial previously at the top of the video. So if I go equals XLOOKUP, and what we're looking up is the country. I'm going to actually take the second $sign out, comma, we'll be looking for the countries across the top here, comma, and then we're just going to select the first row. We don't need to select the full ranges. Close my parentheses, and what we need to add is a hashtag. Now the hashtag will effectively take all of the overspill from the array formula, so that's why we only need to select the first row, so it'll be 100% dynamic, and I'll show you that in a second. So if I hit OK to that, we should see our German teams, and if I change to Italy, we should see our Italian teams. So let's select Inter Milan. Again, same process. If we go to data validation for the player, include the list. Again, we want to put in equals XLOOKUP. This time we want to find the football team. Let's take out that second $sign, comma. This time we want to find the team. So we select all of those. And then we just want the first row, close our parentheses. And again, we just need to put in that hash to capture all of our spill. So again, there we have our Inter Milan players. Now in Excel, in office.com, searchable drop-down lists are automatic by default. So here, if I want to put a drop-down list for this football team, I can just go data, validation, just go to list, move it over here, and hit apply. And if we just wanted to type in, you can see that it will automatically search the drop-down list and give us an option. But back on desktop, we've got to do a couple of formulas to really get that result. But hopefully it will come out into the desktop version of Excel quite soon. So what we'll need to do is, if I just type in man, maybe for Man United, and that's maybe what I'm going to search for when I do my drop-down list. Over here in the formula, I'm going to start off with a couple of formula first. So equals search. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for this man. I'm going to search for that in this range here. Close my parentheses and hit return. And all that does is it specifies where it's found man within the list here. So it's found here at Man United and here at Man City. So what I'm going to do now is just wrap an is number around that and close my parentheses. And all that does is it converts the errors and the ones into trues and falses. Finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap a filter function around that as well. My array that I want to find firstly is all of my football teams, a comma to that. The include is where I want to include the trues within where man has been found in there. And then I just want to close. Actually, I just want to put in a double quotation marks for where nothing is found and hit return. So you can see here what this formula is doing is it's basically saying what is the nearest match it's found when I type in any kind of string of letters here. Over here, it's populating my result. So what I can then do is go to data validation, go to list, and then into source. I'm just going to select this formula here, and then my hashtag. So that will be Arsenal. So if I was to type in man, it would give me the options that I wanted for that one. So hopefully you found that video useful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and to like, and I'll catch you on the next video.